Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Hello, Leslie M. Thornton, Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss. Dry January, have you heard about it? I feel like I have been hearing lots of people talk about dry January, and I wanted to give you my take on it from a Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss perspective. First thing that I will share, in my past, I would say that I definitely, in my own mind, had a problem with alcohol. Now, compared to a full-blown alcoholic or, someone who literally can't have any kind of drink, maybe not so much, but I'm a firm believer that it's a problem for you if it's a problem for you. If you deep down have this like little voice that says like, I like alcohol too much. If you ever are sneaking it, if you're ever kind of doubling down on pouring it, and there's just this little internal knowing that you consume too much, then I consider that to be having a problem with alcohol, because it's a problem if you say it's a problem. So if you internally feel that it's a problem, it is a problem. A lot of my clients also deal with alcohol overconsumption of it, and that leads to overeating. So sometimes when I talk to people, I just spoke to someone yesterday who that was her situation where, she came on about her weight loss stuff. But then as we got a little bit deeper, she was sharing that, alcohol has been an issue for her. It continues to be something that she feels she overindulges in and numbs out feelings with. And she had been to rehab in the past for it and knew that she shouldn't be drinking and still was. So I remember specifically one time being at our family's lake house, and our family was drinking gin and tonics, and I was probably like 23 years old. And just while everybody was out on the deck eating dinner, I just remember like really glugging in the gin for a second gin and tonic, and just feeling this overwhelming feeling of like, eek, like, this isn't good. I remember another time that I was also young, 22 maybe. No, I was 21, just turned 21. And I was with friends and they were drinking light beers. And I remember, and this is not normal for me at all, zero, but at this time, I drank 10 light beers and I still felt like I wasn't getting the kind of buzz that I wanted to get off 10 beers. And that made me panic, because I was like, oh my God, well, what's next? Like, am I gonna have to turn to hard drugs or something? So that's kind of my experience, just like those things. And again, as an internal thing. And if I talk to somebody else, they'd say no, and I've learned a lot through my emotional mastery journey around just addiction in general. And sometimes those feelings of guilt and shame. And if you have a muscle, and it's my belief that if you do drink alcohol, in just feels over the top for you, no matter what that is, that it's a sign that you have that hard on yourself muscle going on, that you have an inner critic that's loud, and an internal guilter, an internal shamer that kicks on, that kind of makes the pattern worse. And that's still part of the vicious cycle. It's similar with eating. you feel like you overeat and then you feel bad about overeating or angry at yourself, etc. And then to numb out on that feeling, then you use more food to eat. Similar process with alcohol. So again, if we interrupt that pattern, which our program supports people in learning how to do on a regular basis, then this is where we can learn to have like a really moderate, balanced relationship with whether it's food or alcohol, whatever in your life, and break the addictive like feelings. So that's on that end. And whenever we are making a decision like doing dry January or cutting out sugar or cutting out carbs or starting a new diet or a New Year's resolution, even, there's nothing wrong with doing any of that. What I know from my experience, though, from trying it all, is that whenever those decisions to do something like dry January or to cut out any, specific food group for the rest of your life or whatever, when the motivation for that is coming from a space of because I can't control myself, because I'm fat, because I gained so much weight, um, because X, Y, and Z that's disempowering. It's coming from a place of fear, scarcity, lack, or like, oh my God, if I don't do this, whatever, I'm going to get so fat. Nobody's going to like me anymore. Like, and we may not be thinking those things consciously. You have to really slow down and ask yourself, where is my motivation to do this coming from? The reason why I know that this is so important is because for so many decades of my life that I was unconscious to the energy in which I would be motivated to take on something like dry January or a new diet plan, is that I would start those things and I wouldn't actually stay consistent with it, which would lead to more breakdown, more upset, more negative self-talk. That would lead to more negative addictive behaviors coming in to numb out on that. What we know is that when you're operating from a motivation strategy of you're looking at what are going to be the positive benefits, and I'm really excited about doing this and it feels like something that I would just like to do. Not, I don't have to do it. There's nothing bad's going to happen if I don't do it. Yeah, this is how we actually stay consistent and do this goal, because it's a choice. It's coming from an empowered choice. I drill this into my clients' minds over and over again of like, when you are doing something because you're choosing to do it out of your own being, out of your own desire, nothing can take that away from you because you chose it. But if someone else is telling you what to do, or if a negative part of yourself is saying, do this or else something bad's going to happen, or you're bad if you don't, or you should, or you need to, it's a setup for failure. And at the end of the day, it's still going to rear its pretty head, and you're still gonna like continue the vicious cycles of still thinking like you have a problem with food, you have a problem with alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. So what actually works is if you identify when you slow down that you're coming from a negative space around your reason for wanting to do this, where you're better served is to actually go in and change the negative feeling and change the negative thinking going on. In my program, you have our Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss app, where we actually support you in learning how to change the thoughts and change the feelings that you're having so that you can, first of all, breathe and not be like, quickly trying to take action and start dry January now and start that diet plan now and start going to the gym now because you just ate too much over the holidays. Again, non-sustainable. That stuff will not last. That's why New Year's resolutions to lose weight are the same year after year after year. And part of that is going into being honest with yourself. So it's being really honest. Like, do I actually want to do that? Or is it coming from a should? You're always going to get what you want, what you actually want. If you actually want to drink in January, you're going to drink in January. You might lie to yourself, though, and say, I'm not going to drink in January, but this little voice of truth inside of you knows, like, that's not what I want. Yeah. And so again, we want to set you up to be consistent and to experience, positive results and motivation long term. And this is really like if you master this art of listening to yourself and being honest with yourself and doing what you feel called to do in each season, each moment, each day, like you've really mastered a lot. You've mastered a lot that goes on in life and increases your confidence. You're going to expand your social circle. You're going to recreate relationships that already exist because you're going to start actually saying what you want and saying no, setting boundaries, and people can actually respect you more. And you actually end up being an example to so many people because you have preferences and you say no even when the whole world is saying yes. So really important thing to learn. So again, if you can say like, no, I'm just doing it because I feel like I need to, I should, I'm scared of what's going to happen when I don't. Okay, how can I go inside and feel the feeling faster? I just want to feel the feelings and go deeper into like why I feel bad. It's like, oh, I feel so fat, or I stepped on the scale the other day, or I saw a photograph of myself and I hated the way I looked, right? Like that sent me on this trajectory. So if I can feel those feelings and identify those thoughts and like learn how to be actually kind to myself through that process, then from this space of feeling more at peace and more grounded, it's like, well, what do I naturally want to do now? And sometimes it'll be like, oh, it's like, oh, I just want to go for a walk. I just want to be in the present moment. Like, what do I want to do with this month? How do I want to be in January? And it's like, no, actually, what's important to me is I want to start meditating. I feel like I got away from that. Or what I really want to do in January is, you know, work on my business more and create more goals and be of more service to my clients. So listening to it'll get you in touch with that inner voice of your truth, and then you can make that empowered decision and watch yourself how easy it is for you to stay consistent on that goal because it came from that quiet voice inside. It's so powerful every single time. It's like, I love this process. It's just an art form of learning to listen. So, okay, a couple other thoughts on dry January. Um, I will share also, I told you about my negative experience with alcohol in the past, that there were 3 years in my life that I did not drink alcohol at all. And since I had that negative relationship with alcohol, and I had to go in nursing school, I had to go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. And so I was aware of how that kind of was and how that felt. And there were people, I actually was sober by the time I went to that meeting. Actually, I took a year of not drinking alcohol, and then there was some years off, and then I did 3 years of not drinking alcohol. And I shared with the person at the AA meeting of like, oh, I actually, yeah, I stopped drinking, and it's just kind of my own choice. And I at the time was in a relationship with someone who didn't drink, and I just was enjoying. It was an opportunity for me to test out a life of not drinking. Anyway, they had come to me and they were like, oh, like you should get it, you need a sponsor and you are an alcoholic and you just need to admit it and all this kind of stuff. And it didn't jive with me. It was just like, thank you, I get it, like maybe, like, but it just wasn't for me. And like the vibe felt off, and I feel like it's just important to kind of match the energy of what you're going for. Anyway, so I had that experience. I kind of knew what that was like, and I have a lot of respect for the format of AA because it's really works with the neuroscience of how the brain works, like surrendering to a higher power, having a community of people around you, everybody's up to the same thing. Um, and stimulating the brain and doing different things, like that's how new neural pathways grow in the mind, so it's like it works. It was the first structure and it still has stood the test of time that did this for people before we had the science to match up why it was working so well. We now know, and every coaching program that I've ever been in, I'm fully aware of how it's like the same kind of AA format. Like coaching is building new neural pathways to grow and change and evolve in different ways that you want to become. And we can do that. We can all learn how to get better at anything at any time. It's challenging, but we can get there. So So my first year of not drinking alcohol at all was transformational. I remember right before making the decision to not drink, the person I was dating at the time was like, who wasn't drinking alcohol. He was like, well, what do you like to do for fun? I was young, I was 21, but I've been drinking since 16, probably, or earlier. And I remember not knowing the answer to his question. I was like, and it really bothered me. The only thing that I knew that I like to do for fun was like play beer pong, just a drinking game. It is competitive. It's more like a sport. I still like it. Not for the drinking part, but that was what I knew. Um, and just basically partying. Like that was the only thing at the time that I knew I liked to do. And I was like, it bothered me that I didn't know what to say. So that, you know, motivated me to be like, okay, let's see what life is like without this. I actually put on a bunch of weight after I stopped drinking alcohol because one vice covers the other one, which had me become aware of my food addiction. So interesting how these things happen. But um, in that journey, I made a decision that I wanted to find out which activities really lit me up that didn't have substances involved. And that was very exciting to me. I was really excited to find that out. And I found out that I love dancing. I did not need alcohol to go dancing at a club and like just, I loved it. It was so fun. I still do. I learned that I love concerts and live music. I learned that well, now I love pickleball. I love sporting events. I absolutely love to go to any live sporting event, any event where there's like a lot of people there, especially if it's like for a cause, like a 5K race or something. I get emotional at any big event. Um, yeah, and the list goes on. So I found out these things that really truly brought me so much joy that I did not need any alcohol. And that was just like, it just supported me in my own self development of understanding myself and feeling also really confident that people liked me for me. That was something I was insecure about. Like, um, in the past, my family had actually like made a couple little comments about my drinking. Like with wine, they called me glug glug one time because I was glugging the wine, and that bothered me. And you know, I actually am pretty funny. I'm pretty like quick-witted, and I can like say and like I can make a whole table of people like erupt in laughter. My timing is really good. And I remember questioning whether like am I really funny, or is it the alcohol that's making me funny? And um so in the first year of sobriety, like I got to see, and my whole family saw, because I would be at the dinner table at like a big holiday, like huge, family dinner table. And I remember me making a joke and making more jokes and my sister leaning over and being like, she's not even drinking, and that wasn't from a place of like, but it was still just, I don't know. It was like this like acknowledgement externally of being like, that's right. Like, I don't need to drink. This is who I am. So it was this big confidence booster for me to be like, with or without alcohol, I am funny. I am, I still love these activities. It was just this like getting to know myself because I, started drinking at such a young age that I didn't get a chance to know this. Um, all of that to say, like, we're talking about like 1 month of drive, but just taking any time off from alcohol, I just, if there's any part of anybody that's like really feels like they're resonating with what I'm saying, like it was important for me. It was an internal thing for myself that was important, that really helped me, that really like made me who I am now. So, for whatever it inspires or doesn't. I've also talked to friends that they were like, I've shared that with, and they've been like, I never felt the need, I never felt like I really needed to not drink. And it was like, amazing, good, and if that's you, like total respect. It's everybody's different. Just sharing with you for, to check in with yourself and see what's going on for you. Uh, so then, uh, yes, the 3 years that I took off was also, that was, and I got really into meditation, and I did end up losing a whole bunch of weight because I was doing that super strict diet at the same time, which, to be honest, that catalyzed my ending drinking because I saw that like I couldn't control my eating when the alcohol was happening. I now, because of the process I did after that, like I wanted total freedom and like just to be able to control myself no matter what. Of course, when we drink alcohol, our inhibitions are lower. So like I will still munch on more if I had some drinks. Um, but it's not anything the way that it was in the past where it was like a lot, or I don't always come home and eat pizza if I have some drinks out. Like it's not always, but it's because I did the hypnosis for permanent weight loss program, or all of the variations that I did to that I've created the hypnosis for permanent weight loss program from. Um, so yeah, that was that part. Um, and I loved it. I really learned to love not drinking alcohol. I really did. And I still, you know, to this day, appreciate when I'm not drinking. It's just like, ooh, I love this energy. I love how, present I feel. I love that I'm not missing anything. Um, yeah, so that's that. And there's also things I love about alcohol, like I do enjoy it, and a nice drink, and the whole specialness of it, and the relaxing my brain and just kind of letting go and loosening up. And I also do like that. So, um, yeah, it just gets to be whatever your choice is. So when it comes to an opportunity like Dry January, just some things to ponder is like, do I actually want to try this? And hopefully after listening to some of this, you might have some clarity on whether or not you would like to try this for yourself. And then if so, get someone to help you stay accountable. Um, another person who's doing it, or more than one person, it can just really support you in that. Um, the but if you're like, no, I actually don't, I'm just, thinking that I should do it, then I would just leave it, because yeah, unless you're like, no, I really should, and I really, because like I really internally want to, then it's just, that. I'm just a firm believer that, it's up to how you're feeling. Whatever you choose to do or choose to not do, like it's your life, it's your body. You get to decide, but it's everything. I pardon. I also trust the process of just where I'm at, of just whatever feels right for me right now. So there's just certain times where I can internally be like, nope, it's not what I want to do right now. And I won't. But then there's certain times where it's like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like, yeah, let's try it. Let's do a month of that, or let's do this, or whatever. And it's different than, like, you could still feel that initial resistance of, oh gosh, like I don't really want to do it, but you still have this internal knowing of like, but I want to get over this hump, and I do actually want to do it. And it's going to feel hard a little bit at first. I was just at the gym the other day, and we were doing all out sprints, and then we would take it off the sprint and then go into like just a push pace. And what the coach said was like, when you go from the all out sprint to the push pace, initially it's still going to feel really challenging, even though you brought the speed down for the first few minutes after. Right. And him saying that was like, okay, he's right. It still does feel challenging, but it had me not turn down to like a walking pace. And I actually ran through the entire, blocks that I was supposed to be running. So it's similar where it's like that initial going out there is still going to feel hard, but eventually it gets easier as you go. Um, so that's just what that is. So would love to hear your thoughts on Dry January, if you're doing it, if you're not. Also, just your thoughts on alcohol and where you're at on that path. If you haven't joined our Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss Facebook group, I record all of our podcasts in there, and am a lot more present in that group, and am open if you have any specific questions, happy to answer them in that group as well. Also, as soon as you join, you'll get the opportunity to have us register you for our next Healthy Hypnosis Hour, which our next one is coming up on January 17th. It's fairly regularly on every third Wednesday of the month. And we are now doing monthly themes, so it's no longer just the same webinar each time. It's different every single time and tailored to whatever's going on. So this coming week in January is 2024 goals. So if you want to just continue that process of quieting down that mind and getting clear on what you actually want to create for 2024, then the Healthy Hypnosis Hour this week might be for you. So I will, yes. The link to join that is in the details of the podcast that you're listening to in Apple Podcasts. And there are also ways to register inside our Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss community group on Facebook. And then the other way is if you text the word hypnosis to it used to be that old number. I just went back to the old number. If you text the word hypnosis to 1-855-BE-ALIVE, you will also get access to a free training that has hypnosis included in it. In addition to that, you also will receive notifications and ways to register for every single month's hypnosis, as well as inspirational text messages from me. So if you have not registered for that, do so. Text the word hypnosis to 1-855-BE-ALIVE. If you would, please, I would so appreciate a rating and review on our podcast. That would be just so awesome. It helps me make the impact that we really want to make, to help people know that these kinds of conversations exist and there is a better way to create balance in your health and your life and feel happy, feel inner peace, and feel free. So sending you lots of love. Until next time. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.